This is Screenwriter Randall Rydell Russell bringing you another episode of The Process, where I break down and give you tips and tools and everything in between on screenwriting, filmmaking, my inspirations for it, and everything in between. As I've stated before several times, this is the month of Halloween, so everything I've been doing is pretty much horror orientated. So we're going to continue that today. And today I bring you my top 10 favorite horror comedy movies. So a lot of it you guys may not agree with. You know, I'm probably leaving out some of you like, what about that one? It's all right. We'll get to it this month. Don't even worry about it. So let's get into it. Number one for me is a classic. It's my go-to every time. I'm shocked I haven't already watched it this year for Halloween, but An American Werewolf in London. This movie just really good. John Landis wrote and directed this movie. He just blends horror and comedy so well in this that there's some scenes that are just like, that's hilarious, and then the next scenes you're just like the scene in the train station or the bus station where the werewolf, you don't see the werewolf but he's stalking that guy that's going down the escalator. That scene still gets me to this day, and the transformation is great. So American Werewolf in London. All right, now number two on my list is one of my favorite zombie movies of all time. We're talking about the good old Return of the Living Dead. Now, this was written and directed by Dan O'Bannon. Dan O'Bannon's the guy that gave us Alien. This movie is funny, it's gory, it's bloody, it's ridiculous. It's kind of like a different spinoff of Night of the Living Dead, because the original creators, Russell Steiner and John A. Russo, branched off and did their own thing, while George Romero did like Dawn of the Dead and Day of the Dead and Land of the Dead and all those movies. And this is one of the few movies, as long as you kind of turn it off before the credits turn on, the black guy lives. He didn't live for the sequel like Ken Sagoes did in the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, but it's okay. But this movie, Return of the Living Dead, is a must. So that's number three. I don't own, and I apologize for not owning it. I had it on VHS for the longest time, and I don't know what happened to it. But it's Peter Jackson's Dead Alive. Okay. Dead Alive was written by him and Fran Walsh and their friend Steven Sinclair. It's just really ridiculous, gory, bloody, nasty zombie movie. Lady gets bit by a spider monkey. She starts turning into a zombie, starts falling off everywhere, starts turning everybody in the town into zombies. Then her son, who still lives at home, has got to fight everybody. There's this ridiculously bloody, gory scene with the lawnmower in the house that I just can't get enough of. It's a must. If you have not seen Dead Alive, go watch it. It's great. Okay, number 4 on my list is yet another zombie movie, and probably my top 5 favorite zombie movies of all time. I'm talking about Shaun of the Dead. I watched this already this year, and I'm probably gonna watch it again. It's so funny, it's so ridiculous, and it's so over the top, but it's a simple premise too. Like, we got to survive the zombie apocalypse, but let's make it a comedy. Edgar Wright, who directed this and wrote it with Simon Pegg, who stars in it, just created something that's just become a classic landmark of horror and comedy, and just put Edgar Wright on the map. So yes, Shaun of the Dead. Number 5 is another zombie movie. But I can't leave it out because it'd be rude, and I think it's one of the best zombie movies ever made. Zombieland. This was directed by Ruben Fleischer, and it was written by Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick, who are becoming some of the most sought after screenwriters. If you look up everything they've written since this movie, they're like up there. And as soon as Ryan Reynolds got a hold of them, it was a wrap. It's just, Woody Harrelson is great in this. Jesse Eisenberg is great in this. Emma Stone is great in this. Abigail Breslin is great in this. Their rapport and the character development between the characters, it's such a just good script. And it was supposed to be a TV show at first, but then ended up being a movie instead, which I think was a better route. But yeah, if you have not seen this, Zombieland, go watch it. Number 6, I've already spoken about a few times on this show and even this month, but Ghostbusters. Directed by Ivan Reitman, like we already know. Written by Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis. Just a very Lovecraftian, funny horror comedy that just goes on all cylinders and it doesn't stop. It's just great. So Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters 2. Same type of thing. The antagonist factor in this one is not as crazy as the first one. I mean, the world's still going to end if Vigo is able to possess Oscar and all that, but it's not like, you know, Gozer coming to take over New York. Like, that was some dark Lovecraftian shit, opening portals and stuff. This one, it's got his Lovecraft feel, but it's more on the comedy than the horror, but it's still such a good movie. And then I just feel like this is just something to watch this time of year. Get a couple scares, laugh, you know, that's where it's at. Ghostbusters 2. Okay, next. I haven't spoken about this movie, but I love this movie. It's a go-to horror comedy. It's one of the reasons why they created the PG-13 rating. We're going to go with Gremlins. Number 8, Gremlins. This was directed by Joe Dante, who is, I feel, an underrated director. And it was written by Chris Columbus, the guy that gave us The Goonies. He gave us Gremlins, Young Sherlock Holmes, and he directed Mrs. Doubtfire. He directed Adventures in Babysitting. He did the first 2 Harry Potter movies. He just done it all. But this is what put him on the map. Like, this is such a good, fun movie. And it is really creepy and dark if you really watch it, but still, it's funny. So, Gremlins. Gremlins 2. Gremlins 2 may be one of the best sequels ever made. It's just, let's make fun of the first movie and go over the top and do everything bigger than the first movie. When you think about that, that's exactly what this movie is. It just takes a small town, let's put it in a big New York skyscraper. All the Gremlins we had, let's just top that. Let's just do everything we can. So, this was directed by Joe Dante again and written by Charlie Haas. I guess Chris Columbus was busy doing Home Alone 1 and 2. But yeah, this Gremlins 2 is a must. All right, and the last movie on my list, I actually sadly do not own. I had it on VHS and I've had it on DVD a bunch of times, but I just keep losing it. Idle Hands. Idle Hands was directed by Rodman Flender and written by Terry Hughes Burton and Ron Milbauer. Devin Sawa is a stoner, lazy slacker kid. There's a serial killer going around their town, and his hand becomes possessed by the devil. He kills his 2 best friends. They come back as zombies, trying to help him, and he's trying to stop himself from killing Jessica Alba, who's so fine in this movie, and just all the crazy stuff that he gets into. Idle Hands doesn't get talked about enough. It's a fun movie. Everybody needs to watch it. Idle Hands. And that concludes tonight's episode of The Process. We'll be bringing some more episodes here soon. Just enjoy the month of Halloween and just keep going. And prayers to everybody in Florida. Hope everything's working out. And we'll see you